Hello, I'm Sarah Wilson. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about York Bike Bells, which is a York-based charity, but I'm just tweaking my order round so that it's more relevant for Edie in Scotland. So we have some funding at the moment from the National Lottery to work on spending time in nature. So our project's called Take the Green Route. And part of the reason for doing it is, I'm sure not lots of you already know, and Edie might know as well, that spending time in nature often makes us feel better. So what we're trying to do is make it as easy as possible for people to spend time in nature and give them a little bit of structure to the way that they spend time in nature. So the research suggests that spending time in nature increases your well-being. It can help you relax. It can reduce your anxiety, boost your mood. It can even help you to sleep if you've been outside. And in York, what we're doing is pairing that connection with nature with gentle exercise through a variety of different means. I'm just going to check. So generally, people have talked about, there's lots of stories on our website, which I will send to Sue so that she has to share with you, about people who feel happier afterwards when they've been outside on walks and taken notice of the nature that they've spotted, when they've learned different things about nature and meeting the different people who come along. Fran, who you may know, said that she loves that the rides and walks are just for everybody. Another participant, Linda, said it just gives her pure and simple joy coming along on the walks, which is lovely to hear. So there's a few different ways you can get involved if you're not in York, and I'll start with those. So we're currently just writing an e-learning programme, which is all about nature connection. There's a little bit of a York focus, but lots of it can be picked up and taken to whatever space you live in. So there's an idea about getting to know nature a little bit and a few tools and tips to help you learn a little bit about nature. Fran will know we use lots of different apps to identify nature. Some people bring along books and different things to help them. And then there's a little bit about starting to take care of nature, looking at doing some citizen science. So those, you might have heard of, like the Great British Bird Watch or the butterfly count and things that happen nationally that everybody can take a little bit of a part in to let us know what's happening with nature in the country. And then there's also an idea about taking care of nature and caretaking it for the future. So things like Fran and I have been involved in creating a wildflower meadow. We've got some work coming up on improving some of the hedgerows along Terry Avenue and what you can do in urban spaces. So lots of the people who come along don't have gardens, they have possibly a yard or a pot rather than a big space, and it's all about making little changes that will help with those sorts of things. So that might be of use to you, Edie, once it's up and running. And our social media, which is on various platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, and LinkedIn, has lots of little prompts, so things that might inspire you to get outside and see nature and do things with nature. So that's probably the more general stuff that might work for Edie or anybody else watching who is not in York. And then I will segue into what we do in York, which is what I was going to start with, but I'll mix it up. So Edie, feel free to ignore if this is not of use. So York Bike Bells set up in 2013 with a main, so it's a CIC, which is a community interest company, which means it's not for profit. Any profits that are made, any donations are made into running what we do. And it's been going since 2013, basically trying to get people outside and in nature. That's our whole remit through a variety of different ways, which hopefully works on building a community of people, improves people's well-being, and also, as a bit of a side note, hopefully we tackle some inequalities and encourage people who wouldn't otherwise get outside to come and join us. So the Take the Green Route, which is what I'm hoping some of you might feel like you want to get involved in, is a 2-year National Lottery funded project. So we did a summer and autumn programme in 2024, and we're planning spring, summer and winter programmes in 2025. Spring programme starts in a month. So our main aim is to enable residents to enjoy a nature-friendly lifestyle. So all of our activities are completely free. That's the joy of having the National Lottery funding us. And so far, over 300 people have spent more than 700 hours outside in nature with us in this project. So we feel like there's lots of people have spent more time in nature because they've come along and joined in with us. So it's a really lovely way to relax and recharge. Liz and I run the activities and we get as much out of them, I think, as the people who come along. As I said, it's gentle exercise. So we do walks of around a mile with rest breaks, and we do rides of sort of 3 to 4 miles with rest breaks. And we use those rest breaks to really connect with the nature and see the changing seasons. So you'd be surprised how going somewhere sort of once a month or around that period, you can see the changes in nature around us. And I've talked about why we do it in the research base behind spending time in nature. So our March programme, we've got a one-off session for National Lottery players on the 15th of March, where I have to say, normally it's free, everybody can come, but you need to show your National Lottery ticket as a bit of it's to thank National Lottery players because they're what has funded our project. We don't normally ask for any sort of payment or tickets at all. So normally what will be happening is on a Tuesday lunchtime, we have an hour's nature ride. And they're delivered by Liz and I, who have done ride leader training, and we've both done outdoor first aid training. Liz is also a doctor, so she is my go-to if there's anything happening, but touch wood, so far we've had nothing. So as I say, the rides are about 3 to 4 miles, and we start from Millennium Bridge in the south of York every time. And then we do nature walks on a Wednesday, running from the same place. So you meet at 12:30 at Millennium Bridge. And we often find we don't cover a very long distance because it's surprising the amount of nature and different plants and birds and trees that you spot and the changes that you see within them from week to week. And we found that people who come along are so engaged in talking about what we're spotting that we don't walk very far. So it's a very gentle piece of exercise. And then our urban wildlife gardening session, this programme is a session with the Yorkshire Wildlife Trust on a little bit on urban gardening. So Jo is planning to give all participants a little session on how to make a soft pot. I don't know if you might have seen these before. You make them out of your old tights. So if you haven't got tights, you might need to borrow some of ours. We'll bring old tights, but so it's a really good way of recycling and reusing. Also doesn't have the same issue as plastic pots, because instead of the roots being constrained, as the roots grow, the pot grows as well. And if you want to plant it out, they can grow through as well, depending on how many layers, apparently. I'm just learning about it. So we're planning to do wild garlic and snake's head fritillaries in your little pots. And then we'll head down to Terry Avenue and fill in a hedge gap. So along Terry Avenue, there's historically been a hedge, but as time has gone along, we've lost some hedge. So we're restoring some hedge, which will give you some hedge planting skills, hopefully. And then we're going to underplant it with more of the ransoms, the wild garlic and snake's head fritillary and a few other shade-loving plants that are also resilient to flood. Because if you know Terry Avenue, it sometimes ends up underwater. So we want things that can cope with the fact that it is flooded now and then. For people who aren't able to walk or cycle for themselves, we have what we call our trio bikes, which again, if you go on the website that I share with Sue afterwards, you'll see that they're like a big armchair on wheels. So for people who are less mobile, or particularly people who have been cyclists and are now not able to cycle, it's a really good way to see your and just in case Edie is still watching or anybody else watches it afterwards, Cycling Without Age is a national organisation. So in England, there are a few different places that offer it, as well as us. And then in Scotland, Cycling Without Age Scotland is actually really well established. So they have chapters from the Orkneys to Musselburgh to all over the place that offer Cycling Without Age rides, which is where you get an experienced pedlar who will take you out on the trio bike and take you for that. So that is a national offer, and we are the local providers of that in York. So we offer those on Tuesday afternoons, and we're just trialing offering some Saturdays for this programme. And basically, if you want to come along and you don't think you're able to, or you need a little bit of hand holding for whatever reason, we are able to offer that service so that we can hopefully make it as easy as possible for you to come along and join us. As I briefly mentioned to Edie, our e-learning's there. So if people want to join in, they can have a look at that and either deepen some of the skills that they've done on the activities that they've come to, or they might be able to do it even if they're not able to. If they're not able to come and get out, then they'll be able to do that from home as well. And what I'm trying to do is make sure that the ideas of nature connection are easily done from if you're not able to leave your home, so that you can open a window or look at photos and do things so that it's accessible for people who actually might find it a bit too tricky to get out and about. So far, and Fran is one of our statistics here, so far 100% of participants feel that it's had a positive impact on their well-being. So I'm feeling that that's quite good praise. About 70% describe it as a major positive impact. And about 95% of people who've come along so far have said it's had a really positive impact on their connection with nature. And it's had a huge impact on me and my mental health, getting out in nature and doing, especially when the news is a little bit dark and miserable, getting out and seeing what's happening in nature and seeing the snow, seeing the snowdrops growing, and or the first sight of blossom that I saw this week on a run just really helps me feel like there's some good in the world in between everything else. So sorry, I'm slightly out of order because I jiggled it round for Edie. And we also have a walking book group. So on a Thursday, one of our lovely volunteers, Alison, runs a walking book group. Again, completely free. And it's like a book group because you're talking about books. And what she tends to do is choose a theme rather than a specific book. So you can use books that you've already read or bits of books to talk about. And that meets at York Explore Library in the centre of York. And they do a slightly longer walk, but they always end up in a good cafe afterwards, which works really well. And that is on the third Thursday of the month. And they also do a virtual one on the first Thursday in the month, which anybody is very welcome to join. And again, all of the details are on the website. So ways to get involved: you can follow us on social media. We try and give people little prompts and ideas and show them things that are happening in nature. So we try and do it as and when we see it. Our website's got loads of ideas for getting involved, and also has places like ideas for walks, and there's routes that we've done and things that we know are really nice to see at different times of year. Like I think there's a snowdrop walk, and they're grouped into the seasons so that if you're looking in winter, you might find places that have got more to see in winter. And we have a monthly newsletter which sends out those sorts of ideas as well. And of course, you're very welcome to come along on an activity. So it might be something that you're interested in, or you might know somebody who you think actually they'd love a trio bike ride. And if you can help us spread the word, that is much appreciated. Yeah, so that is pretty much York Bike Bells and all the things we do. I have left some cards here, which I've got the details on, and Sue will also change the website. So I'm slightly going to take off that hat and put on my volunteer MoveMates hat, and then it's all in one bit. So as well, hello, sorry, I'm mid flow, but I know that Sue is recording it, so you can catch up if you're interested. So as well as working for York Bike Bells, I previously worked for a York charity called MoveMates, which I love so much I still volunteer for them. So MoveMates is in York, Durham, Leeds, Pocklington and Selby at the moment. And MoveMates is a really simple volunteering idea. So it takes people who are not able to go for a walk independently for a huge variety of reasons. So it might be because they're at risk of falling, or it might be that their anxiety prevents them from leaving home by themselves. And it pairs them with a volunteer, and a volunteer turns up at their door, knocks on the door once a week and goes out for a short walk with them. So it can be anything from the first lady I walked with. I thought, oh, this is great. It'll be really good exercise for me. But we went about 0.1 miles. But she was 94 5 and took her walker with us, and we had a break halfway, but it was the only walking she did every single week. And then the lady I'm working with now came to us because she was housebound, and is now going out on longer walks. We head to Roundtrees Park, and she manages to get to Roundtrees Park on her own, but that's only because we've built up her confidence. And I know other volunteers work with people who have autism and find it difficult socially, so having a volunteer to turn up and walk alongside them works really well. In fact, one of the gentlemen we supported is now a Movemates volunteer himself, so that's worked really well. So it's just a really good way of volunteering. I tend to do it on a Monday when I have a full laptop day. I pop out mid-morning and do a walk with the lady I walk with, and it works really well. And that you can choose a person who is close by to you, or who you might have a particular affinity with, for whatever reason. And it's also a really good thing to refer people to. So if you know somebody who's housebound and really struggles to get out, being able to know, Barbara says, knowing that I'm coming means she is getting out on a walk. No matter what the weather is, she's not going to cancel me. If she's feeling a bit rough, she's not going to cancel me. And it means that we get out and do a walk every week. So if you're interested in volunteering, or you know somebody who might benefit from a Movemate, I will also send Sue the links for that as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much.